Yes, what's popping, you little lang tings? Sorry, I said that in the last intro. You guys found it funny, so here we are back again. As you can probably notice, not in the office, not in the studio, in my living room to talk about a couple of news stories today. I'll be back here later when we speak about the result, Chelsea versus Crystal Palace. So thanks for joining me, and get comfortable.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Alright then, friends. Today we're talking about Benoit Badiashile being out for a long time, apparently, after the cup final. So, pressure on, just as he and Axel Disasi look like they could be a centre-back solution. We're going to cite some stuff from The Athletic, from Liam Twomey. Of course, the Chelsea directors have been a target for criticism, of course, because people are thinking, well, Pochettino has as well as the Chelsea manager, but also people look to the hierarchy. They might think, well, the owners, they want to do well, they'll spend the money, but we need the footballing people, and the footballing people are the directors, Stuart and Winstanley. So we'll find out what's going on there as well. And Romelu Lukaku coming back to Chelsea, certainly looks like Roma will not be buying him. So lots to get into today, friends. Thanks for joining me. I think we're still on the road to 180,000 subscribers, which of course is a lot. You can become part of that journey. You can become part of it. So thank you for subscribing. Hit the bell if you do. And why not like the video? Also as well, Pochettino's done a video with Sky Sports talking about Chelsea fans, sort of saying, look, of course they don't love me yet. In his words, paraphrasing though, they're used to winning Champions Leagues, Cups, Premier Leagues. I've been here 7 months and look where we are on the table. They're kind of like a good, showing a little bit of self-awareness there, which is good. I'm not saying he's been lacking it necessarily, but of course he's not been like going over to the Chelsea away fans and stuff, and that's probably a smart move from him, because it's probably a little bit like, we're in this together, as the former Spurs boss, probably tactical, and probably the correct move. Like when he starts delivering wins to the Chelsea fans, then he can sort of go to connect with them. But at least it's good to hear him speak and be like, yeah, no wonder they don't love me yet. It's all cool. I get it, I understand. So let's talk about Lukaku quickly from Gazzetta in Italy. Of course, it's Italy, Italian football news media. There's practically no chance of Roma signing Lukaku permanently from Chelsea in the summer. And that is Gazzetta. This is really frustrating because he did score a few goals out there. Of course, it was Jose Mourinho who brought him there, who of course now has been sacked by Roma. And since Mourinho's sacking, I think they've done really well, haven't they? They've got, of course, Daniele De Rossi, I believe. And I believe they're just killing it. Well, certainly they've got a good few results. They did get slapped up 4-2 by Inter. I believe Inter are league leaders. But previous 3 games on the trot they've won, including a 4-0 win under De Rossi. So going well for them. It is Daniele De Rossi, right? I just want to be totally sure about this. De Rossi. Okay, cool. Because I don't want to say something on a non-edited, streamline, conversational piece type video like this and just talk absolute breeze. So yes, Romelu Lukaku, he does not want to play for Chelsea again. I do wonder if there is a conversation to be had with Pochettino. His release clause will be 40 million euros, I believe, or 37 million quid, which, to be fair, he'll be 30, but he's still worth that. No matter what, if he stops all this silly media nonsense, he's still worth that. He's Belgium's all-time top goal scorer. He was the leading goal scorer in the recent qualifying for the Euros. He ended, I believe, as the top goal scorer of the competition. That's no mean feat, He is, he's certainly got self-belief. We know that as Chelsea fans. I don't want him back at Chelsea at all. I mean, unless some miraculous turnaround happens and he comes in and scores and he's that sort of senior striker that makes all the youngsters better around him. I don't personally see it. And I feel like there's kind of a point of no return with Lukaku. So yeah, we're going to see what happens. I think, and I'm going early on this, I think he's going to have to just consider that Saudi money, dude. Like, he was already offered like a big gig from there. I think he was like kind of offended because he didn't get offered as much as like a couple of other players that maybe he sees aren't as high profile as he is. But yeah, man, like who else is going to, I mean, it's an affordable price, 40 million euros. I don't know, like does a Newcastle try and buy him? It'll be very interesting. Let me know what you think about the Lukaku situation, because as things stand, it looks like he will report back to Chelsea in the summer, with Roma not wanting to buy the big Belgian striker. So comment down below on that. All right, friends, we are going to talk about the directors in just a moment. But yeah, Nizar Kinsella confirms Chelsea have been dealt a major blow after Benoit Badiashile was ruled out for a month with a groin injury, of course, the one he sustained against Aston Villa. So he was forced off late in our 3-1 win in the FA Cup replay. And he's been ruled out for, of course, tonight's game and also the Cup final on February the 25th. So at this point, we are hoping, expecting and praying that Levi Colwill, the other young left-footed centre-back, is available. Now, of course, it's been a huge talking point I spoke about on the previous video. Thiago Silva, he can play on the left comfortably as well. He's an excellent centre-back, and I always feel really bad about like criticizing, the decision to play him, because he's clearly an amazing footballer. He's clearly very professional, and he clearly loves Chelsea. But you just can't make this guy 10 years younger. He's if we're going to play this back four, which we played so well against Aston Villa, granted Aston Villa just lost to Man United at home, which kind of takes the polish off our win a little bit as well. And granted, they lost at home before, so that's 3 consecutive home losses for Villa, who had the second best home record in the league. When Man United are annoyingly good now as well. They looked quite good and put together. Villa weren't as bad as they were when we played them, and I'm trying to hold on to that a little bit. Like, we didn't let them play at all because Chelsea performed really well. Anyway, look, what no one can take away from us was it was a really good win and something to build off, hopefully. But are we going to play this high line, this dynamic, close the spaces, banks of players where therefore the centre-backs need to push close? It's not something that Thiago Silva's been doing. We've spoken about how Enzo and Caicedo need to play closer together, like an actual pivot, and they look better. Let me know what you think about the centre-back situation. Comment down below. Let's move on and cite The Athletic. Twomey writes, Chelsea's impressive dismantling of Aston Villa in their FA Cup replay was a timely boon for head coach Mauricio Pochettino, but the performance may have been an even greater source of relief to the two men above. Stuart and Winstanley have maintained low public profiles since being announced as the co-sporting directors at the end of January 2023. Chelsea did not make them available to talk to the media during pre-season, despite both men travelling around the United States with the squad, and the bulk of their pronouncements to date were made in soft-focus in-house interviews. Yeah, you get like quotes, don't you, from them when Chelsea signs someone, but really sort of generic nonsense kind of thing. Yet their names are the ones that are increasingly raised by disgruntled supporters when the dark days, such as the 4-2 home defeat against Wolves, raise bigger questions about the promise of the lavish youth investment project at Stamford Bridge. Yeah, hard to trust the process and project when you're getting slapped every week. At such times, when even some of the flagship signings of the Todd Boehly Clearlake Capital ownership do not look good enough, who better to hold account than the two men tasked with leading Chelsea's recruitment? Yeah, because I think, just to pause there, Chelsea fans at this point now are saying, look, I think the most logical Chelsea fan would be like, well, even if you never really liked him, you could be like, well, Poch is a good coach. And these are talented players, but are they suitable players to play together in a philosophy? Or, you're just saying, yeah, you do that, Poch. And to be honest, it's up to him, who had that exhaustive interview process, to say, yeah, I can do this. Oh, I know exactly. They've laid it on the table, and he says, "I can do it." That's what when you take on a job, right? You're saying you can do it. Let me just sip my coffee. No, that can't be lost here. So Chelsea fans starting to turn towards the directors of football, Paul and Lawrence. There are no indications that Winstanley or Stewart are in danger of losing their jobs anytime soon. On the contrary, further additions to the sporting structure are planned in the coming weeks, with all new hires reporting to them. That may be unsatisfying for some of the angrier Chelsea fans, but it should not come as a surprise, particularly when the responsibility for the transfer spending since the departure of Abramovich is assigned properly. Yeah, I mean, a department in a company, people working under head of a department, it's pretty normal. And if we have concerns about underperforming, hopefully your chances of improvement are bringing in more brains and minds to contribute to resolving that issue. Call me crazy. I mean, also there is a too many cooks thing, so there's that. But I think it could help. Winstanley was brought, of course, from Brighton, another Brighton import, initially with the grand title of Director of Global Talent and Transfers in November 2022. Stewart agreed to join from Monaco the previous month, but did not officially begin work till Feb 2023, when the restructuring that led to them both being co-sporting directors. BFFs, Chelsea recruitment BFFs, the sporting friends. Will ruin your club. No, joking. I don't actually believe that. And look, man, someone said in my Instagram Q&A yesterday, great opportunity for me here to plug my Instagram at FootballYannick if you want to come chat to me on lives. On one of the Q&As, like, why do you never, say your opinion on Pochettino and the project? And I said this in a response. I've always wanted football directors. I've said that for years, even though Emenalo was a divisive figure, I think he was an important one, and all the best clubs have footballing directors. And when I heard we're getting two, I was like, great, twice the fun, twice the success. They'll have to give us 2 Champions League trophies every season. Obviously, I'm joking, but I was happy that we're bringing in a structure. I've been on my knees for a structure, and I suppose a project, because you look enviously at Liverpool and Man City and go, projects, Clever projects. Even like Brighton and Brentford to a degree. Projects. And with Poch, I've long nailed my colours to that mast, brother. I've said, this guy is probably in profile appropriate for us, but I don't think he's the manager to win us the Premier League. And that's my opinion. And in the meantime, in this body of work he's done in the 7 months, I've been largely disappointed. But at the same time, as time goes on, you sort of assess the project, holistically and say, yeah, this is kind of freaking rough, bro. Do you know what I mean? This is a tough one. Anyway, as a pairing, the super happy sporting best friends, they've been chiefly responsible for the 2 transfer windows. Of course, the summer 2023, when we spent a little more over £400 million committed to new signings, was offset by around £215 million player sales, which is actually incredibly impressive. In January 2024, hey, that just happened. Chelsea's only incomings and outgoings were loan deals, so players already on our books. No new signings. Winstanley played a significant role in Jan 2023's recruitment drive, but the process was different, with Clearlake co-founder Badalik Barley actively engaged in negotiations, of course, that saw Mudryk and Enzo come to Stamford Bridge. What an exciting time. I will look back on that January transfer window, the one before, the one that just happened, as an example of such, it doesn't matter that we're playing crap football, because I have an inner 14-year-old FIFA playing kid that just gets excited by transfers. And heck, he's on the moon right now, bro. Do you know what I mean? So I was so excited, but yeah, it's all nonsense when you don't win games and score goals. Put simply, these are still relatively early days for Chelsea's revamped sporting structure, and many of the clearest transfer missteps of the Bowley Clearlake era predate it. Of course, Wesley Fofana, he's my boy, so I don't want to hear anything bad about him. Cucurella, overpaid, probably shouldn't have signed him, probably could have got someone that does the same job for half the price, if not less. Kalidou Koulibaly, mistake, despite him being like a great, but his time was up. Aubameyang, mistake. So these were all signings made by the interim sporting director, Bowley. Yeah, he was having fun, wasn't he? Partly at the request of head coach Thomas Tuchel. Oh, that's interesting. The subsequent sacking of the German and the appointment of Graham Potter can be added to the big list of football decisions that were made before Stuart and Winstanley were in post. I see. This is kind of like bigging them up a little bit, saying, hey, look, leave these guys alone, Twomey is suggesting, kind of. None of the above should grant them immunity from scrutiny, I agree, for what has happened on and off the pitch since. Pochettino, then hired Poch as head coach, has struggled to improve their Premier League form at the cost, that cost Potter his job. We've all seen that graphic from Sky Sports. Same points after the same amount of games, Potter and Poch, but Poch had a pre-season. They are different jobs, and it is silly to compare, but it makes for a good headline, so I understand why the people do it. A year into their tenure, Chelsea's crippling injury problems are only just beginning to ease. Funny, though, you have just spoken about Badiashile, but yes. And the list of unequivocal recruitment wins might extend no further than Cole Palmer and perhaps Georgia Petrovic, who has looked a reliable alternative to Rob Sanchez. Well, Malo Gusto, but I guess he wasn't hired by the sporting director. Super happy, best friends forever, guys. In that regard, the Villa win was not quite a validation, but it was a timely demonstration of the quality identified in the likes of, oh, there you go, Gusto, Badiashile, Disasi, Noni Madueke, Palmer, and Nico Jackson. It was a reminder that individual talent is far from the sole detriment of success or failure at this level. Yeah. Interesting. They are younger, talented players, and it must be hard to get them to all click, you know. Pochettino picked his most cohesive starting 11 in months at Villa Park, and suddenly the theory of a serious Chelsea team became much clearer. Two mobile centre-backs, we just spoke about the Thiago Silva thing, capable of defending up high, as well as giving flexibility, flanked by dynamic, natural fullbacks, no centre-backs playing as fullbacks, ladies and gentlemen, stationed much closer together. The £200 million Fernandes, Moises, Caicedo midfield axis offered control with less risk of being overrun. Yeah, just the spaces were smaller, closing the spaces. You know, those two, the pivot playing closer together. Excuse me, but the centre-backs as well, kind of block in the middle. Safety. At the tip of the spear, a devilish pressing tandem of Palmer, supported by Gallagher, tormented the home side. Out wide, two wingers were prepared to defend as well. Perhaps not what we've seen so much in Sterling and Mudryk of late. Few footballers can be the best versions of themselves without a team context that amplifies their strengths and minimalizes their weaknesses. Badiashile and Disasi look most confident when rekindling their old Monaco partnership. Caicedo appears more comfortable in a tighter tactical structure, more akin to his Brighton experience, what we've just said, smaller spaces being not being left on an island by herself. Fernandes is much more impactful on the ball than ahead of it. Yes, looking at the play in front of him rather than it happening behind him. Jackson has had numerous number 9 attributes, but part of his future value may actually lie back on his original position on the left wing. It would be foolish in many cases to dismiss the talent that Chelsea have assembled purely because the team's Premier League results have been underwhelming. More pertinent is whether the bigger Bowley Clearlake project, turning the first team squad into an investment portfolio of promising young footballers on ultra-long contracts, is fundamentally flawed. Bang! Twomey's just knocked it out the park. Because that's what it is, you know? Look, you can speak to people at Chelsea, they want to win. They want to win, but they want to do it in such a way where you can I'm going to read it again. Winning while turning the first team squad into an investment portfolio of promising young footballers on ultra-long contracts. Retaining value as assets, of course. Bang, 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 bang. The belief underpinning the transfer strategy of Chelsea's owners is that youth in football is underrated. This is why they have repeatedly paid premiums for the potential rather than proven quality. A break from the conventional wisdom and a break from Roman Abramovich's Chelsea. Jeez. It has set them down on a path that no club has walked before. I walk this lonely road, the only... Can't sing any more, copyright. One that demands they have a youth development talent in their first team competing consistently on the highest level. We've got a very, very young team. The average age of without Thiago Silva was 22, which is very, very young. Stuart and Winstanley will be evaluated in the longer term on whether they can build a club capable of walking that path, and the impact of their signings will be only one of the several factors considered. This goes on. I'm not going to read all of it. It's behind a paywall. All right, then. Stuart and Winstanley. Yeah, I mean, it would be silly to judge them right now. I mean, like Liam Twomey writes in The Athletic, there's plenty of good talent in there that are starting to show their worth, but they have a scope for immense increase as well in terms of value, or I don't say value as a sellable asset. I mean like playing value. Like e-gamers when they try and get value. That's a hard one to try and translate to a football video. Anyway, point being, yeah, it's more of a manager that gets judged immediately. The footballing directors, it will be like, you will have these like longer windows and like, right, how are their assets developed? Are they identifying good footballers that can develop well, that have the right attitude and psychological profile? Are they now actually getting the appropriate footballers that fit in the style? That's not just like Pochettino or Chelsea, but modern successful football, the top echelons of the Premier League, the Champions League. There's like shifts in themes of successful football. They almost got to read it like a stock market. That's what they'll be judged on in terms of being footballing directors. But looks like at the moment they're safe. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. As you can tell, a non-edited video today here in the living room. I'll do a video after Chelsea's result later, hopefully. So keep it locked. I want to thank you for subscribing, hitting the bell, liking, commenting, sharing. It's very kind of you, mate. And hope to see you back here very soon. All right then. Peace.